Part 31. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 301. In front of the bronze coffin, Li Bai has slowly opened the coffin lid. There is a body buried inside, but it is missing many parts, fingers, eyes, heart, and other important parts. But even if it is just a corpse, the power it exudes is enough to make some supreme beings fall directly. And next to this corpse, there are also groups of origins, which are the rune avenues, rune understanding, and other inheritances of the wandering ancient immortal during his lifetime. Is this the body of wandering? Li Bai asked slowly. Yes, sir, this is the body of the master, but it is missing many parts, which were dug out by those masters and controllers. The creatures below heard this and said slowly. It seems that they are very afraid of wandering resurrection, so they dug out so many important parts, and... The next moment, Li Bai's words were directly blocked, and his eyes flashed with an incredible look. Yes, it was incredible. This was the first time that Li Bai showed such an expression. This is... Li Bai's breathing became rapid. He saw a white fragment next to the corpse, which looked more like a memory fragment, and there was a trace of Li Bai's own breath on it. Then, Li Bai slowly picked up the memory fragment, put it in his hand and kept looking at it. The touch was as warm and cold as jade. What's wrong with this memory fragment? Li Bai asked hurriedly. Sir, I don't know what's going on. I don't have any memory of this fragment in my memory. The guardian creature scratched his head and said stupidly. I promised, I will help wandering, not only to revive him, but also the rune world. Then, Li Bai said very firmly. Hearing this, the guardian creature said excitedly. Really, sir? Of course, I can't refuse the conditions given by wandering. Li Bai said while holding the fragment tightly. Great, sir, our rune world is finally saved. But don't be too happy too soon. After all, those creatures are the biggest obstacle to rebuilding the rune world. Li Bai said slowly. It's okay, sir. My master said that as long as you can agree, it will definitely come true in the end. Hearing this, Li Bai didn't say anything, but said to the guardian creature. Guard for me, I need to read the memory in this fragment. No one is allowed to disturb me. Don't worry, sir, as long as I am here, no one can disturb me. After that, the guardian creature carried Xuanhuan and walked out of the palace directly, closing the door. Then, Li Bai looked at the memory fragment in his hand and muttered to himself. I didn't expect that my first memory fragment was from your hand. Wandering, I'm very curious, how did you get it, and how did you know that this fragment is exactly what I'm looking for? For the first time, Li Bai felt the mystery that was not in his control. Forget it, I'll know it later. After saying that, Li Bai crushed his memory fragments directly. In an instant, a large number of memory images rushed into Li Bai's mind like a flood of beasts. Even the emperor could not bear the impact of this kind of spiritual power. His mind would be directly disturbed and he would become an idiot. At this moment, several disciples in the outside world have been teleported out through the teleportation talisman. After all, these monsters have greatly increased their strength after being violent. If they do not use the teleportation talisman, they will surely fall. No, these monsters are violent. Xuanhuan Holy Land, what is your intention? Do you want all our disciples to be buried here? Xuanhuan shouted loudly, his tone full of rage. You are humming stupid, there is no one in our Xuanhuan Holy Land. Besides, there is a teleportation talisman, why are you panicking? Ling Jun said angrily. Just when everyone was at a loss, this situation lasted for a moment and then disappeared without a trace, including those mysterious runes and the suddenly increased realm of those monsters. Disappeared, finally disappeared. How strange. Could it be that this small world still has some secrets? Looking at this scene, a glimmer of light flashed in Xiaohuo's eyes. He wanted to go in and find out. After all, the way of runes is the most obscure and difficult to master among the forbidden ways. Ling Jun, since this small world is so restless, I suggest that we go in and explore it. Xiaohuo looked at Ling Jun and said. Ling Jun fell into deep thought after listening to these words. Even though these Tianjiao had teleportation talismans in their hands, the dignity of some Tianjiao did not allow them to use them, even in a life and death crisis, such as Emperor Shishan. But it is obvious that no one in the 5 holy places wants their evil disciples to be in danger of life. Let's take a look. If this happens again, we can go in and investigate. On the other side, in an unknown place, Emperor Suotian also noticed the abnormality of the small world at the first time, and immediately opened his eyes full of shock. Strange runes, and even I can't understand them. Could it be that this small world was created by the creatures in the rune world? I didn't expect that the small world we discovered that day would have such a history. It seems that I have to go in and investigate. Then, Emperor Suotian immediately contacted a clone who was still sleeping in the small world. My lord, what's wrong? Why did you suddenly wake me up? Go and investigate the source of the runes in this small world immediately. Ah, we still need to investigate, but my lord, we have been investigating for many years and have not found any clues, even if the power of runes has appeared now. Stop talking nonsense, go and investigate. Yes, that palace. Then, Emperor Suotian immediately thought of the little girl. It seems that there was a palace behind her when she appeared. Palace? There is a palace here, why didn't we find it before? The clone said in great confusion. Yes, it is a palace, I won't be wrong. After that, Emperor Suotian told the clone what Han Shui looked like, and as long as she still carried the teleportation talisman, she would definitely be found. Yes, I will go find it now. After doing all this, Emperor Suotian looked at him with a carefree gaze, as if he could see through all the worlds. What secrets does this small world have? Also, the disaster I foresaw is getting closer and closer. Will the predicted war between all worlds really come? Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 302. Immortal Emperor Suotian's eyes kept traveling among the heavens and the worlds, and he kept showing inexplicable expressions. No one knew what he was thinking. After a long time, Immortal Emperor Suotian sighed and said, "It seems that I have to do something, I can't continue to sink here. The world will change. Even the most comfortable upper realm of eternity may not be able to escape the vortex." After saying that, Immortal Emperor Suotian disappeared directly from here. On the other side, in the main hall, memory fragments kept flashing through Li Bai's mind. Although they were scattered, they could be woven into an intermittent story. However, the important part in the middle was the memory fragments. There is no record in it. After a long time, Li Bai slowly opened his eyes, and in an instant, a different look flashed across him. Sure enough, I guessed it right. The Twilight Kingdom is really the era that was buried before the beginning of time. It's a pity that this memory fragment is too small. The only thing recorded is myself, just my back in a picture. It seems that the real me is not in this fragment of memory. Li Bai frowned and said as he recalled what he had just seen. In the scene just now, Li Bai saw a man kneeling behind a figure in white in a breathtaking palace in the center of the Twilight Kingdom, and that man's realm was something that even Li Bai could see through. Of course, it's not because Li Bai really can't see through the realm of that man, but because of the barrier of the breath of the times. After all, the era before Taishu has been buried for endless epochs, and Li Bai has never been in contact with it, so naturally he can't see through this aura of obstruction. Now at least it can be proven that the Twilight Kingdom is not the place where I was born, but more like a puppet country. Is it mine, or those of origin? Li Bai frowned and said, the mystery of all this is really too big, one layer after another, repeated endlessly, even Li Bai can't find any breakthrough point. After finishing speaking, Li Bai closed his eyes again, recalling all his memory scenes, trying to find some connecting point. Outside the palace, Han Shui has gradually woken up. Beauty, you're awake. Sorry, I scared you just now. The guardian creature looked at the awakened Han Shui and said naively. Yeah, you, don't come over. After the shadow of the guardian creature caught Han Shui's eyes, Han Shui immediately jumped back 3 feet like a frightened little rabbit. After a long period of explanation, Han Shui finally understood what was going on. Brother, are you saying that you have been waiting here for the young master for many ages? Han Shui asked doubtfully. Yes, but if someone else comes here with the master's body, I will let him in. The guardian creature said slowly. How did your master know that the young master would definitely come here? If my guess is correct, it is impossible for your master to guess the young master's strength from the future, right? Han Shui asked again. I don't know about this. Anyway, the master asked me to wait here. By the way, you don't have a name yet, right? Then, Han Shui thought of something and said slyly. Ah, indeed not yet. Then let me give you a name. What are you going to name me? After thinking for a while, Han Shui slowly said. Just call you Dasha-chun, what do you think? Dasha-chun? Why do I feel like they are scolding me? The guardian creature said doubtfully, but because the wandering ancient immortal was too hasty when he created him, he only gave him realm strength and not much IQ. It's decided, you will be called Dasha-chun from now on. Han Shui said immediately, not giving Dasha-chun a chance to refuse. Fine. At any rate, I can be considered a person with a name. Although the guardian creature didn't know why, he didn't care too much. By the way, Dasha-chun, what state are you in? Han Shui tilted her head and asked. I don't know what realm it is. Anyway, it must be better than a forerunner like you, although you are not a forerunner now. Hearing this, Han Shui was dumbfounded. How did Dasha-chun know that she had been a forerunner? Dasha-chun, how did you know? At this moment, Dasha-chun suddenly took Han Shui's wrist and pulled him behind him. Han Shui said in pain. Dasha-chun, what are you going to do? Someone is here. I can feel that his aura was one level better than yours. At least he was an explorer. Dasha-chun said seriously. Sure enough, a moment later, a man slowly appeared in front of the two of them. Emperor Xuanhuan. Han Shui looked at the person in front of her and said in surprise. When Emperor Xuanhuan saw this creature, he was first shocked. He could clearly feel that the strength of the creature in front of him was much stronger than before his reincarnation. This is the guardian creature described in the records. It is really terrifying. It is indeed the creation of the Rune World boss. Emperor Xuanhuan said in horror in his heart. Are you, a disciple of this group of Dabi? Half-step God King, are you Han Shui? Emperor Xuanhuan glanced at Han Shui and said slowly, and then a glimmer of light flashed in his expression. He knew that Han Shui was not simple. Yeah. Han Shui nodded. So that's it? I didn't expect that you came to this palace first. It seems that you should also know the secret of this palace, right? Emperor Xuanhuan said calmly. This, you guessed wrong. It's not me who knows, but the young master. Han Shui shook her head and said. Young master. Before Emperor Xuanhuan finished speaking, Dasha-chun stood in front of Emperor Xuanhuan and said. Outsiders, you are not allowed to trespass here. Please go back. Hearing this, Emperor Xuanhuan didn't say much, and directly took out the dry finger and said slowly. Senior, can I enter the palace? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 303. After seeing that finger and that extremely familiar breath, Dashichan said in horror. This is Master's finger. You can indeed enter. But it will take a while. Senior, why? Emperor Shishan asked in confusion. At this moment, Li Bai's voice came from the hall. Come in, along with that man. Okay, sir. After Dashichan finished speaking respectfully, he directly opened the palace door and led Emperor Shishan in slowly. Sir, what were you doing in there just now? Han Shui ran to Li Bai and asked. It's okay, I explored some things. When Emperor Shishan saw Li Bai, he was instantly confused, because he saw that Li Bai's true realm was only the Holy Lord, and there was nothing to hide. But why did a half-step god king like Han Shui call him young master, and that guardian creature, why do you call him sir? Who are you? Shishan frowned and said seriously. You don't need to know who I am, you just need to know that I can help you. Li Bai looked at Shishan and said with a smile. The latter met Li Bai's eyes and instantly felt that everything about him had been seen through. Help me, why are you saying this? With you as a saint. Emperor Shishan said disdainfully. Because I know that you are the reincarnation of the great emperor, right? Emperor Shishan, a creature of the fairy clan in the outer world, has half the blood of Buddha, and was an explorer before reincarnation. Then, Li Bai looked at Emperor Shishan and said with a smile. Boom! A look of horror immediately appeared on Emperor Shishan's face, and he was dumbfounded. He couldn't understand why Li Bai knew his identity with such detail after just one look at him. Holy shit, Emperor Shishan, I didn't expect that you were an explorer in your previous life, one level higher than me. Han Shui on the side immediately said in surprise. When Emperor Shishan heard these words, he understood that Han Shui was the reincarnation of the emperor like him, and a pioneer and an explorer were both extremely awesome. I really didn't expect that this small eternal lower realm actually has two crouching dragon and phoenix chicks. Dashichan on the side immediately said inappropriately. Senior, how did you know? Emperor Shishan did not answer Han Shui's words, but looked at Li Bai and asked, indirectly changing the title. Do you want the inheritance of the rune world? Li Bai did not answer Emperor Shishan's question. As the senior said, I really want to get part of this senior's inheritance. Give up. The next moment, Li Bai's faint words came. Give up, why? Emperor Shishan's words were full of incomprehensible doubts. Because you are not qualified with your talent. Even if you get part of this inheritance from the rune world, even if countless epochs pass, you still won't be able to understand anything, unless you are a native creature of the rune world and have the heart of rune. Li Bai looked at Emperor Shishan and said calmly. When Han Shui on the side heard this, she looked at Emperor Shishan with a look of sympathy, because Li Bai had also said that before, because of his talent, he was not qualified to be his disciple. No way, how is this possible? I am an explorer, and I have fairy blood and half of Buddha's blood. Emperor Shishan said in disbelief. Shishan, if it doesn't work, just give up. Since the young master has said this, it means that maybe you really can't understand it. You might as well find other methods, and it doesn't have to be the inheritance of the rune world. Han Shui said comfortingly. Shut up, you are just a pioneer, who have the right to speak to me. Emperor Shishan immediately roared, how could he take revenge if this inheritance was broken? You are so easy to talk to that damned man, master, please leave him alone. Han Shui immediately said with a cold face. First, tell me why you are obsessed with this inheritance. Li Bai waved his hand and continued. Senior, I am the emperor of the fairy tribe from the outside world. In the era of chaos, our fairy tribe was involved in a conspiracy. After that war, I was the only one who was sacrificed by countless people. Send it out. It's just that I didn't expect that those people didn't intend to let me go. In the end, I couldn't use my path as a condition and reincarnated into this place in the world. When did you reincarnate? Li Bai frowned and asked slowly. Later, Emperor Shishan talked about a point in time, and Li Bai instantly realized that he was in a deep sleep at that time. No wonder he didn't notice it after an explorer reincarnated into the heavens and worlds. Who is it that destroyed the fairy clan? Li Bai asked slowly. Upon hearing this, Emperor Shishan's eyes immediately shot out with overwhelming hatred, and he said word by word in an extremely cold voice. I know the person behind the scenes is the smasher of the end world. Hearing these words, Han Shui took a deep breath unconsciously. Unexpectedly, the mastermind behind the scenes turned out to be his birthplace, the end world. Then how did you know that this small world contains the inheritance of creatures from the rune world, and how did you get that finger? Li Bai asked again. This. After hearing these words, Emperor Shishan obviously had a hesitant look on his face. I don't like to hesitate, otherwise, you can die. Li Bai frowned and said, and at the same time, a power that Emperor Shishan couldn't understand covered his entire body. In an instant, the end of death seemed to be tugging at Sakyamuni. Sir, it's because of this stone. There is a record of words on this stone tablet. Afterwards, Emperor Shishan directly took out a stone slab. This stone slab exuded an extremely ancient and vicissitudes of atmosphere, as if it was the product of hundreds of millions of epochs ago. At the same time, there was also an extremely weak and imperceptible mixture of the aura and origin. Immediately, Li Bai took the slate, and there was indeed a passage recorded on it, which described the secret of the palace and the address of the withered finger. However, this stone slab is obviously not a complete piece, but more like it was deliberately smashed. As for the other things recorded on the stone slab, it is unknown. But obviously, this stone slab aroused Li Bai's interest. Interesting, even I can't see through the slate. Li Bai said calmly. Sir, I really need this inheritance, otherwise, my strength will not be enough to fight against the mastermind. Emperor Shishan then said hurriedly. Do you really think that because you have obtained the rune inheritance, you can fight against the mastermind behind the scenes? Don't you think you are too naive? You are just an explorer, and you have almost reached your end. What do you use to fight against it? With that iron will of yours. It's ridiculous. Li Bai looked at Emperor Shishan and said disdainfully, there are some things in this world that cannot be achieved with anger. The closer you get, the more you will realize that you are as small as an ant. After hearing this, Emperor Shishan was obviously stunned. Oh, your words are so realistic. Dasha-chun on the side whispered quietly. Hey, Dasha-chun, I didn't expect you to have such an opinion. Han Shui said teasingly from the side. That's right, at least the master has also sent me a lot of emotions, and cognitions. There are always some strong people in this world who can do whatever they want, but these strong people are not something we ants can talk about. Dasha-chun rubbed his chin, like a master who saw through everything. Okay, stop pretending, these are probably what your master said. Hee, you discovered it? Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 304. In Emperor Shishan's mind, Li Bai's words kept echoing. He hit the nail on the head and pierced the cage that Emperor Shishan had woven for himself. He might also know that even if he got the inheritance of the rune world, he couldn't kill the creatures of the end world. However, he was too persistent, so that this persistence had become his nightmare. Every time the night came, the scene of the continuous tragic death of the Immortals would appear in his mind. No, I can do it. I am the last blood of the Immortals. I can do it. Emperor Shishan looked like a madman, holding his head with both hands and shaking it constantly. Again, your talent is not qualified to inherit the rune source of the palace owner. However, I can make a deal with you. The item is the stone slab. Li Bai ignored Emperor Shishan's appearance. After all, he had seen too much, and there were too many creatures who wanted to kill him. For such creatures, the shattered hope was even more painful than death. What kind of deal do you want to make with me? Emperor Shishan asked hoarsely with bloodshot eyes. You want revenge, right? Li Bai looked at Emperor Shishan calmly. That's right, as long as I can get revenge, I am willing to pay anything, even my life. I will not hesitate. Emperor Shishan looked at Li Bai and said slowly. Now, I give you two choices. First, I will give you a secret method in exchange. Secret method? Haha, do you mean to say that your secret method is more powerful than the secret method of the rune world? Emperor Shishan glanced at Li Bai and said, he admitted that Li Bai was terrible, so terrible that even he couldn't see through it, but it didn't mean that with his secret method, he could bury those creatures in the end world. Second, I can directly promote you to a creator, and your previous path can be completely restored. Li Bai ignored him and said slowly to him. Emperor Shishan was even more contemptuous when he heard it. The creator was almost at the top of the origin world. Unless it was the originator, no creature could directly promote a person to the creator. Moreover, the difficulty of restoring the road was even greater than the former. Ha ha ha, directly promoting me to the creator and restoring my road, this is something that even the creator can't do, are you kidding me? Emperor Shishan looked at Li Bai and said disdainfully. Believe it or not, it's up to you, but I must get this slate. Li Bai looked at Emperor Shishan and said seriously. In this case, this slate has no use to me, so why not give it to the senior? But, I must get the inheritance of the rune world. A hint of madness flashed in Emperor Shishan's eyes. I said, you are not qualified. Whether I am qualified or not is not for you to judge. After Emperor Shishan finished speaking, he was about to go to the bronze coffin and touch the group of origins. Dasha-chun, kill him. Li Bai looked at the guardian creature and said calmly. Sir, how do you know my name just now? What do you think? Yes, sir, I will kill him now. Sorry, Emperor Shishan. After Dasha-chun finished speaking, he punched Emperor Shishan. You. Emperor Shishan immediately felt the breath of death approaching him, his face was ashen. He did not expect this man in white to be so decisive in killing. Just because he was not qualified, he wanted to kill him. But it was useless for him, after all, he was only a half-step god king now. And Han Shui was watching coldly from the side. She had already told Emperor Shishan, but he didn't listen to her advice. At the moment of death, Emperor Shishan's belief in survival finally prevailed. If he didn't even have his life, how could he talk about revenge? He was not afraid of death, he was afraid that his great revenge would not be avenged. Senior, I agree to your exchange terms. Emperor Shishan knelt on the ground and said hurriedly. It's too late. I only have one chance for anything I said. Li Bai said lightly. Just when Emperor Shishan had closed his eyes and left a drop of blood and tears, accepting the coming of death, the next moment, the bronze coffin kept shaking, and the dry finger on Emperor Shishan's body disappeared. The runes on the hall kept running, and a ray of light slowly fell. Finally, a figure slowly appeared in front of everyone. This person, with a head of white hair flying and a handsome face, a plain dress further highlights this person's unruly. A gourd wine pot hung around his waist, quite a bit of wandering meaning. This person is the owner of the palace, the owner of the corpse, the wandering ancient fairy, and one of the most evil geniuses in the rune world. When Dasha-chun saw this figure, he was stunned immediately, his eyes were moist, and he murmured to himself. Master! Master, is it really you? After looking at Li Bai, the shadow said respectfully. Sir, can you spare his life? Why? Li Bai glanced at the wandering ancient fairy and said slowly. Because, their fairy clan has done me a favor. And he also found a finger for me. The wandering ancient fairy looked at the dazed Emperor Shishan and said slowly. After a long time. Only this one time. Li Bai said lightly. Hey, I knew you wouldn't have the heart to refuse my request. Wandering ancient immortal looked at Li Bai and said excitedly. Stop coming, I'm doing this for your sake. Da Shachun, take them out. Immediately, Li Bai said to Da Shachun. Okay, sir. After saying that, Da Shachun took Han Shui and Emperor Shishan out of the palace like a little chicken. Da Shachun, could that person just now be your master? Han Shui said with a shocked face. Well, how are you? Isn't it handsome, pretentious, chic, and bohemian? Da Shachun said with excitement. It's not bad, I'm still far behind the young master. Han Shui curled her lips and said. Jealousy is not the same thing. You must know that my master is known as one of the most evil geniuses in the rune world. He became a great emperor at the age of 1, an immortal emperor at the age of 30, a breakthrough at the age of 100, and a pioneer at the age of 500. Wait a minute, you just said that your master will become an emperor at the age of 1. Are you kidding me? Han Shui immediately interrupted the gushing Da Shachun and said with a horrified face that when she was 1 year old, she was still playing with mud. Of course, why am I lying to you? When my master was born, he was the great emperor, and there is no one in the rune world who doesn't know about it. After a moment of silence, Han Shui cursed. Hum, hum, hum. It's not fair, this is so unfair. Being born as an emperor, this, is simply too outrageous. Han Shui looked astonished. Otherwise, why would you say that my master is one of the most evil geniuses in the rune world? Da Shachun was very satisfied with Han Shui's current demeanor and said with great pride. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 305. Your master has been practicing since his mother's womb. Emperor Shishan on the side had a bitter look on his face, and finally couldn't help but ask a question. At this moment, he finally understood why Li Bai said that he was not qualified to inherit. Now it seems that he is really not qualified. It is estimated that there are people in the origin world. The qualified people can be counted on one hand. That's not true. My master was transformed into a rune and has no parents. He is considered an innate creature. Da Shachun said slowly. Da Shachun, what state was your master in when he was alive? Han Shui asked hurriedly. He seems to be the master. Hearing these words, the two of them were suffocated instantly. The Overlord, a realm they had never dared to imagine. The Overlord has already planned the path and rules of the origin world. You must know that starting from the Forerunners and Explorers, you want to make progress in the future. It's even harder than climbing to the sky at all, although the lifespan of a Forerunner can be said to be eternity. However, there are some explorers who, even if they spend their entire lives, cannot reach the threshold of the Creator. You can only be an explorer for the rest of your life. This shows how abnormal the talent of the wandering ancient immortal is. Even so, he is only one of the most evil geniuses in the rune world. One can imagine how terrifying the rune world is. Alas, no wonder Sir said that the rune world is too powerful and those origins will be destroyed. Han Shui sighed in her heart. Di Shishan, now you finally understand why the young master said you are not qualified. Han Shui looked at the stunned Emperor Shishan and said slowly. Well, I really don't have any qualifications. Haha, I thought my talent was enough to be a monster, but I didn't expect. Emperor Shishan's eyes darkened, without any expression. Brother, please calm down, my experience is similar to yours. Han Shui patted Di Shishan on the shoulder and said comfortingly. Were you also exterminated? Although you are right, it is too direct and rude. Please ask again. Han Shui said slowly. Upon hearing this, Emperor Shishan rolled his eyes. Miss Han Shui, your experience is the same as mine. Yes, my family was also wiped out just because I heard something. By the way, let me tell you again, my family is in the end world. So, we have a common enemy. Han Shui's tone was low and full of sadness. Emperor Shishan's eyes kept trembling, he was also a fallen person from the end of the world. Afterwards, the two started chatting with each other without any distractions. The more they talked to the end, the more they felt that their experiences were exactly the same, and the more they resonated with each other. Sister, we are in such a miserable state. Emperor Shishan lay directly in Han Shui's arms and cried. Yeah, man, we are so miserable. However, things are different now. With young master here, our revenge can definitely be avenged. Sister, young master, who exactly are you and what realm are you in? Di Shishan was like a child at this moment and said slowly. I don't know who he is, and I don't know what state he is in. I just know that the young master is very scary, extremely scary. Just now Das Hashun's master called the young master sir, which shows how scary he is. Han Shui said slowly. But, I have angered the young master just now. It's okay. There will be opportunities in the future. Now you have to be a licking dog and lick the young master so that you can have a chance to take revenge. Do you understand? Han Shui said earnestly. Well, eldest sister, don't worry, I will definitely lick the young master very comfortably. That's right, brother, you are aware. Han Shui said with appreciation, and at the same time said in her heart. This boy is too obedient. In the palace, Li Bai looked at the wandering ancient immortal, with a hint of look at the younger generation in his eyes, and said. Long time no see, wanderer. Sir, I haven't seen you for a long time. Drink? Li Bai asked slowly. He knew that wandering ancient immortal's biggest hobby was drinking and tasting different wines from each world. Sir, I'm just a spirit, I can't drink. The wandering immortal emperor said bitterly, why didn't he want to taste the immortal wine in Li Bai's hand? Almost forgot. By the way, let me ask you a question. Excuse me, sir. How do you know that I will definitely appear here? Li Bai asked slowly. Hey, sir, guess what? The wandering ancient immortal showed a mysterious smile. I guess, someone told you. Li Bai said slowly. I really can't hide anything from you, sir. Indeed, a living being told me after Dang Rosé was rescued by you. The wandering ancient immortal said slowly. Sir, that creature told me not to expose her existence. But sir, I can tell you clearly that the senior is on our side. On our side. When Li Bai heard these words, he paused, and then the images of some creatures flashed through his mind. What does she mean by standing by our side? This. Obviously, wandering ancient immortal looked embarrassed, thinking that once he said it, Li Bai would easily guess who it was. Forget it, I will find it myself later. Li Bai looked at the troubled wandering ancient immortal and had no intention of making things difficult. Sir, I wonder if your experiment has been successful now. No, the experiments in the universe are far more complicated than I imagined. Even though there have been different forks, the anomalies and the results I want are far from each other. Li Bai shook his head and said. In that case, my lord, is there anything I can do on this road? Immediately, the wandering ancient immortal looked at Li Bai and said slowly. You'd better resurrect yourself first and then talk about it. By the way, don't you know where the rest of your body is? Li Bai asked. I don't know about this. After being poached by those masters at that time, it seemed that some of the most important parts were sealed, such as the eyes and heart. The address is unknown. Okay, in that case, I will help you find it. Li Bai said slowly. Sir, it doesn't have to be like this. I don't have your temperament. Over the countless years, I have long been tired of it. I am a congenital creature without parents. It's good to see you again. That's it? The wandering ancient immortal shook his head and said. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 306. In that case, I also respect your idea. Let me ask you another question. Is this slate, left by the person you mentioned? Li Bai changed the subject and took out the slate and said slowly. Sir, you guessed right. So that's it? You deliberately scattered those fingers in the origin world. The purpose is to find a suitable successor. And, if I guessed right, you left an identical small world in every origin world, right? Li Bai said with a smile. Ha 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 ha, sir, since you have guessed it, why ask me? Sir, I have something left by someone here. I believe you must be very interested. Then, the wandering ancient fairy said again in a mean way. Okay, tell me. Li Bai said impatiently. That person is, Xiaju. The wandering ancient fairy also put away his cynical smile and said in a very heavy and serious tone. Sure enough, when he heard this name, Li Bai's pupils trembled unconsciously. Then, he looked at wandering ancient immortal with an expressionless face and said. Are you, sure, it's Xiaju? Li Bai's tone was very calm, so calm that it was a little weird. Yes, sir, this was given to me by Xiaju herself. She knew that you would meet me here. Wandering ancient immortal said very solemnly. Anyone who knew the story of Li Bai and Xiaju would be very careful when talking about this topic, for fear of being careless. After a long silence. How did Xiaju know that I would appear here? Could it be that person you are talking about? Wandering ancient immortal just shook his head at this. After all, Xiaju didn't tell him. Okay, take it out. Li Bai's tone was obviously trembling. He, Li Bai, traveled through countless origin realms and countless epochs. Countless people around him fell, and countless people were buried by Li Bai himself, but the person he felt the most sorry for was only Xiaju. After the War of Origin, in the chaotic and dark era at that time, there was no fairyland, but Jushan. After he woke up in his first reincarnation, he had no memory, no realm, and was as fragile as a mortal. Until one day when he was snatching food from a wild wolf, he met Xiaju. During this period, it was Xiaju who accompanied him all the time. Gradually, he recovered his memory and realm, and became the cold Li Bai before. My lord, please take your time. After the wandering ancient fairy finished speaking, he took out a crystal stone and handed it to Li Bai, and the phantom returned directly to the coffin. Li Bai looked at the crystal stone in his hand, and his eyes flashed with a trace of reluctance, but he finally crushed it. In an instant, the entire palace was covered with endless fairy light, and a woman appeared in front of Li Bai like a startled swan. Her appearance could not be described in any words. She was more stunning than any eternal empress, and she was more beautiful and charming. She seemed to be the most deliberate and exquisite creation of the Creator. She was wearing a white fairy dress, and her temperament was cold and noble. This woman is Xiaju, the #1 female emperor on the eternal emperor list of the 10,000 worlds. When Xiaju saw Li Bai for the first time, tears flowed from her eyes, and a smile slowly appeared on the corner of her mouth, and she was instantly beautiful. Then, Xiaju walked in front of Li Bai step by step, slowly raised her white hand, touched Li Bai's cheek, and said softly, "Bai, I finally see you again." The voice was like the breeze, like a silver bell, and like a stream flowing in the mountains. Xiaju. At this moment, Li Bai's face really lost his composure, and thousands of words converged into one sentence: Xiaju. He didn't know whether he was Li Bai at this moment, or the mortal who had snatched food from wild wolves. When he heard Li Bai read out his name, Xiaju's tears were like a dam bursting, rushing thousands of miles. Click. The clear tears kept dripping on the ground of the hall, and pure flowers bloomed quietly. Gradually, a sea of flowers spread across the entire palace. Bai Yi, I'm so happy that you didn't forget me. Xiaoju whispered softly. How could I forget? I'm Li Baiyi. Li Baiyi looked at Xiaoju and just wanted to reach out and touch Xiaoju's head, but stopped in mid-air. And Xiaoju took the initiative to lean his head against the palm of Li Baiyi's hand. Yes, you are Li Baiyi, the immortal Li Baiyi who has been in the origin world for endless eras. Xiaoju said with a smile. Xiaoju, I'm sorry. Hearing this, Li Baiyi trembled and said slowly. Baiyi, you are not sorry, and you don't need to say sorry to me. You didn't do anything wrong. I know that I am a fork in the road and hindered your experiment. Xiaoju, do you still blame me for burying you with my own hands? A trace of struggle flashed in Li Baiyi's eyes. He, if I really blame you, I wouldn't have left this shadow. Xiaoju pouted and rolled her eyes, her expression was very cute. By the way, how did you know that I would appear here, and how did you know Liaolang? Then, Li Bai said slowly. How do I know? This is a secret, I don't want to tell you. About wandering, we met by accident at that time. I felt a trace of your breath on him at that time. Xiaoju said slowly. By the way, Bai, Xiaoqing, are they okay on the other side? Then, Xiaoju asked slowly. Li Bai shook his head at this. Oh, I knew that they would not listen to the advice and would step into that place without hesitation. But with their weak strength, how could they survive? A gloomy look appeared on Xiaoju's face. Don't worry, I will definitely avenge them. Bai Yi, what's going on in the immortal realm now? Not bad, but there have been a few talented monsters. Immediately, Li Bai talked to Xiaoju about the monsters that had appeared in the immortal realm, including Emperor Mortal, the Eternal Empress. That's great, I really want to meet them. Especially that Emperor of Heaven, with mortal bones, mortal heart, and mortal body, can reach this step, even step into the darkness, without even me saying a word. Awesome. Xiaoju said with a smile. As for why Xiaoju cares so much about the fairyland, it's because she is the creator of the fairyland. That's right, the original creator. However, Jushin was discovered in the end, and Jushin did not hesitate to use all his strength to hunt down Xiaoju, but unexpectedly, he was sealed by Xiaoju in the end. In the end, Xiaoju handed over the original immortal realm to Li Bai. Gradually, the immortal realm was formed after countless epochs of evolution. This is also the reason why Jushin must destroy the immortal realm after breaking through the seal. What they care about is not the immortal realm, but Xiaoju. Similarly, this is also the reason why Li Bai is so partial to the immortal realm. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de La Chang. Chapter 307. By the way, Bai Yi, you probably don't know that I have found a successor in the immortal realm. It's just a pity, it's just part of my inheritance. Xiaoju said mysteriously. I know, Minjiao, right. Ah, how did you know? Because she is very similar to you. Li Bai said slowly, this is why when he first met Xuanhuan Minjiao, he said that Emperor Xuanhuan, a rough man, would give birth to such a charming daughter. It was just because Minjiao and Xiaoju were somewhat similar. That's right, When I saw her in the secret realm, she seemed to think of me when I was a child. So, you will pass part of your inheritance to her? Li Bai asked back. Absolutely, and I also noticed a trace of your breath on her at that time, so I concluded that she is the person next to you. Besides, her talent has not been fully developed. I believe that one day she will be able to complete that part of the inheritance. Xiaoju said slowly. At this moment, Xiaoju's shadow gradually became unstable, as if it could dissipate at any time. After all, she had already fallen for countless epochs, and this shadow could not hold on for much longer. Okay, Bai Yi, this shadow will dissipate soon. Did you say anything to me? Xiaoju said expectantly. I will definitely resurrect you. After a moment of silence, Li Bai said slowly. I don't want it. Xiaoju shook his little head, and then, his red lips gently pressed against Li Bai's lips. For just a moment, Xiaoju's cheeks were flushed, and then he bounced away like a little girl. Humph, I finally got to kiss you. Who told you not to let me kiss you then? You owe me this. Xiaoju said with his hands on his waist, but as he said that, tears shed again on Xiaoju's face, but this time, Xiaoju had a smile on his face, as if he had fulfilled his last long-cherished wish. By the way, Bai Yi, you must go to the Discord world. Why? Promise me first. Okay, I promise you. Li Bai said extremely solemnly. Okay. When Xiaoju heard this, she smiled like a flower. Then, Xiaoju's figure gradually became transparent. When it was about to disappear, Xiaoju said softly with tears. Bai Yi, I wish you will reach the end of this road soon and find the answer. Bai Yi, I love you. If there is a new era, you must marry me, don't forget it. Bye now. After saying that, Xiaoju's figure completely disappeared in this space, together with the sea of flowers. In this sea of flowers, it was at that time that Xiaoju stood next to Li Bai, who had not yet recovered his memory and regained his realm, and said, Bai, you will marry me, right? Listening to these words, Li Bai's thoughts returned to that era. Looking at the smile on his face at that time, he said with a smile. Xiaoju, I love you too. This time Li Bai did not break his promise, but Xiaoju may never hear these words again. And Xiaoju is like the most precious piece of history, buried forever in Li Bai's heart. However, Li Bai believes that in the end, he will definitely be able to resurrect Xiaoju. At this moment, Wandering hiding in the bronze coffin was crying wow. It's so damn touching, woo woo woo, Sister Xiaoju. You've seen enough, come out quickly. Li Bai's hoarse voice slowly echoed through the palace. Grown-ups. The wandering ancient immortal appears again. Tell me, who is that person? Li Bai's tone left no room for doubt. Oh, sir, if you see her in the future, don't say anything, I told you. Immediately, the wandering ancient immortal said word by word. The originator of destiny. Haha, I didn't expect it to be her. After Li Bai heard the name, there was no expression on his face, but he was extremely calm. Sir, do you know her? The wandering ancient immortal said in great surprise. You must know that among all the origins, this originator of destiny can be said to be the one who shows up least. She is the source of the destiny of all origin worlds, and the direction of the destiny of all living things is in her hands. Just like the daughter of destiny in the fairyland, she is just the inheritor of the source of billions of strands of destiny. Similarly, the successors to the destiny of all regions are women. After all, the source is women. Only by reaching the realm of the originator can one break free from the shackles of fate. Well, I was lucky enough to meet him once before. Why do you say she is on our side? As far as I know about her, hasn't she always remained neutral in her origins? Li Bai said doubtfully. She told me this. The wandering ancient immortal scratched his head and said. She told you, did you take it seriously? Li Bai rolled his eyes and said. Sir, there's no need for such a creature to lie to an ant like me. It's not cost effective. If you were able to lie to me, you wouldn't even know how many worlds of origin you could create. The wandering ancient immortal said slowly. That makes sense. Li Bai said with a twitching face, but he couldn't refute. Then, he thought in his mind, if all this is true, it means that among the origins, there are at least two who are not hostile to him, the one he met in the previous Fairyland War, and this Destiny origin. Okay, since that's the case, then we'll leave first. Sir, you're leaving now. Wandering ancient immortal said reluctantly. You can't drink, you're a grown man, why should I stay with you for so long? Li Bai said slowly. He, that's right. By the way, sir, I wonder if you can do me a small favor. Say. Take care of Emperor Shishan for me. Okay, I got it. Then I'll send you off, sir. By the way, let Dashichan follow you, sir. Although he was created by me, he has gone through countless years and is no different from ordinary creatures. I hope to be with you and gain some experience. It's okay to be a thug when necessary. Wandering ancient immortal said again. After thinking about it, Li Bai agreed to this request. Okay, sure. Sir, we'll see each other again. After that, the shadow of wandering ancient immortal also disappeared. Then, Li Bai also appeared outside the palace gate. Sir. Young master. Senior. Li Bai glanced at Emperor Shishan and said. From now on, you'll follow me. Really, senior, you don't hate me. Emperor Shishan said with great surprise. You should thank Wandering. And Dashichan also received a notice from Wandering Ancient Immortal, asking him to stay with Li Bai. Okay, Dashichan, let's go out. Okay, sir. After that, the space around them kept changing, and the next moment, they appeared in the mountains. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 308. Sir, what are we going to do next? Dashichan asked slowly. You two, continue to stay in this small world. Although you have no inheritance from the rune world, your immortal Emperor Xuanhuan still left a lot of things in this small world. These things are for you now, it's quite suitable. Dashichan, you stay and protect the two of them. Li Bai said slowly. Okay, senior. Yes, sir. As you command, senior. After saying that, Li Bai left this small world directly, because he felt that Ergoza was about to break through the Great Emperor, and it was time to make plans for the Spirit Clan. Now there are more and more things backlogged on him, and he must speed up the progress. At this moment, everyone outside the small world is already discussing it, because the standings have changed at this moment. Emperor Shishan and Han Shui are no longer first, second, not only that, the images of the two have also disappeared. No one knows what happened during this period. What's going on? Why don't the points of Emperor Shishan and Han Shui change? Did they encounter a stronger monster? Impossible. Didn't Holy Lord Ling Jun say that they are still within the tolerance area from the beginning to the end? Moreover, they also have teleportation talismans. Even if they are really in danger, they can be teleported out directly. Then something must have happened. On the other side, news came from Skyfire Holy Land and others. Holy Sun, we discovered the people from the Purple Forest Holy Land. Who? The three Kanglan people are Nalanyan's disciples, and they are very close to us. Very good. Let's go there immediately and contact the other saints and saints to get here as quickly as possible. Yes, Holy Sun. After finishing speaking, the Holy Son of the Heavenly Fire Holy Sun flashed a sinister look in his eyes and said. Let me do the surgery on you first. At this moment, Kanglan and the others are still hunting monsters, and their points are rising rapidly like a rocket. It's strange, we almost never met anyone participating in the competition. Xiongda said doubtfully. Hush, someone is coming. An extremely serious look appeared on Kanglan's face. The next moment, the leaves beside the three people rustled, as if there was something hidden among these towering trees. What, don't you dare to come out! Kanglan said to the surroundings with an expressionless face. As expected, a disciple of Holy Lord Nalanyan has a very keen insight. The next moment, 6 disciples from the heavenly fire Holy Land slowly appeared in front of the 3 of them. Skyfire Holy Land. What do you mean you've been following us for so long? Kanglan's eyes narrowed and he said with a cold tone. What do you mean? Isn't it obvious, Kanglan? The Holy Son of Heavenly Fire Holy Land appeared in front of the 3 of them and said jokingly, his eyes seemed to be looking at 3 lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Yang Fan. Why, I can't stand it anymore so quickly. Kanglan said expressionlessly. Yang Fan, on the other hand, didn't say anything, and directly took out a rune eye and smashed it into the ground. Boom. In an instant, a formation directly enveloped everyone. At this moment, the 3 of Kanglan were more like being caught in a trap. Kanglan, we won't waste any more nonsense and we'll give you 2 ways. First, I'll kill you and get the points. Second point, if you crush the teleportation talisman, you can still save your life. Yang Fan looked at Kanglan and the others and said. She looks pretty ugly, but she thinks she's pretty. Yang Fan, don't you think you can win our points just by relying on ants like you? Kanglan's tone did not hide the edge, looking at Yang Fan like a clown. Kill. Yes, Holy Son. After hearing this, Yang Fan didn't say much nonsense and directly ordered the disciples around him to kill Kanglan and the others. Xiong is as big as a flower, let's have fun with them. Hey, okay, senior sister. I've been waiting for this for a long time. After saying that, the 2 of them rushed directly into the battlefield. Prison suppressing king body. 9-turn exquisite body. Ruhua and Dakshan directly exploded their own physiques, constantly dealing with these disciples of the heavenly fire Holy Land. The avenue of fire. War king body. A storm of arrows. And these 6 disciples have also tried their best. After all, if they can really plunder the points of Kanglan and the other 3, maybe they will get even more training resources in the future. In an instant, Ruhua and Dakshan fought hundreds of moves with these 6 disciples. Everything in the formation was reduced to ruins, the giant trees were shattered, and dust was everywhere. Countless arrows rained down on Xiongda's body, causing sparks to fly and turn into powder. This is for you, Uncle Bear. Where are you scratching your itch? Xiongda said with a mocking look. How is it possible that his physical body is so powerful? Not only that, that woman's movement skills are very high, I can't lock her at all. Damn it, I don't believe it anymore, we 6 Saint Kings can't beat 2 of them. For a moment, it was hard to tell the difference between the 2 sides. You must know that there are 6 disciples of the Saint King in the heavenly fire Holy Land. 6 against 2, they are still indistinguishable. This made Yang Fan's face suddenly turn cold. He didn't expect that the strength of these 2 people was so strong. At the same time, he was extremely curious as to how they could improve their strength so quickly in a short period of time. Just as he was about to take action, Kanglan appeared in front of him. Your opponent is me. Kanglan said expressionlessly. Humph, then let me see how powerful Nalanyan's apprentice is. Skyfire Avenue. Punishment of heavenly fire. Yang Fan shouted angrily, and the Holy Lord's momentum exploded instantly. Then, behind him, a sea of fire slowly transformed and occupied the entire formation space. The void heat waves came one after another, turning into waves of flames and hitting Kanglan. 4 Holy Secret Techniques, Xuanhuan Shield. Kanglan felt this scorching wave, her eyes focused, and she waved her hand. In an instant, a Xuanhuan shadow appeared in front of her. The Xuanhuan shadow continued to emit divine light and resisted the wave of flames. "Let's see how long your turtle shell can last," Yang Fan said jokingly, and then continued to draw out wisps of heavenly fire power from the sea of fire, transformed into a sword, and drew towards the Xuanhuan shadow. Sword of Sky Fire. Fist of Sky Fire. Boom. 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 Finally, under Yang Fan's constant attacks, the Xuanhuan shadow finally couldn't hold on anymore and disappeared. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 309. It seems that your turtle shell is also vulnerable, Yang Fan said with a smile. Really? A smile flashed across the corner of Kanglan's mouth, and when Yang Fan saw the smile on Kanglan's face for a long time, he instantly felt a dangerous aura in his heart. Kanglan, stop pretending. Afterwards, the two of them used dozens of secret techniques again, and finally, Yang Fan discovered a clue. No matter how many secret techniques he used, Kanglan seemed to try his best to crack it, but every time it was just right, not even a little bit wrong. It's as if he is a whetstone. Kanglan, you actually use this holy sun as a whetstone, Yang Fan said with an extremely cold expression. Ah, I was discovered by you, I'm so sorry, Kanglan said, pretending to be surprised. Death, you must die. Yang Fan was furious. He was one of the holy sons of the heavenly fire holy land, and he was still in the saint realm. Now he was used as a whetstone and a stepping stone by a saint king. How could he endure this? This scene was naturally seen by the outside world. I didn't expect that the heavenly fire holy land would actually be plundered. Humph, this is their usual style, isn't it? There's nothing we can do. The rules say it's okay, so we can't say anything. At this moment, Xiaohuo stared at Nalan Yan coldly and said, Holy Lord Nalan, I'm sorry, your beloved disciple's points may be taken away. Nalan Yan just smiled playfully. Well, you might as well look down and see who is the hunter and who is the prey. Yan'er, are your disciples really okay? You must know that the three of them are just saint kings. Yang Fan is in the realm of saint kings, and there are many of them. Yao Yu whispered from the side. It's okay Yayu, after all, there is a teleportation talisman, so there will be no life-threatening danger. Jianfeng comforted him from the side, while looking at Xiaohuo his eyes became colder and colder. Don't worry, I don't know my apprentice well yet. Just wait, don't let your jaw drop, Nalan Yan said mysteriously. Then we'll see. The other side of the battlefield. Hey, you bunch of bastards, the warm-up is over, let me show you Uncle Xiong's power. Xiongda took a deep breath, a cruel look flashed in his eyes, and then roared. Heaven-shaking technique. In an instant, a very weak imperial power appeared on Xiongda's body, and there was also a ray of heaven-shaking power blessing Xiongda's fist. Just when Yang Fan was about to kill Kang Lan, he noticed this breath, and then his whole body seemed to be petrified. Emperor, power. No, imperial technique. Impossible, how can you master an imperial art? How can you possess imperial art? How can you deserve it if you are an ant? Yang Fan felt that his world had collapsed at this moment. He didn't want to admit it, but the fact was right in front of him. Xiongda had really mastered an imperial technique. Xiongda ignored Yang Fan and looked at the three heavenly fire holy land disciples who were stunned in front of him. He smiled cruelly and punched out. This punch seemed to be able to shake the lower realm of eternity. Wherever the punch passed, it was covered with dust. Boom! Under this heaven-shaking power, the formation used by Yang Fan reached its limit, and the formation's eyes shattered. And those three disciples didn't even have time to crush the teleportation talisman, and they turned into puddles of mud. It's my turn. Linglong Emperor Technique. Seeing this, Xuanhuan no longer hesitated, and directly activated the Linglong Emperor Technique. The Linglong Emperor Technique actually had no lethality, and was more of an aid to the 9-turn Linglong body. The next moment, the flower-like 9-turn exquisite body came directly to the 6th turn. At the same time, the realm of Xuanhuan is also constantly climbing. The Holy Lord, a half-step God King, then, the power of a God King soared into the sky. At this moment, Xuanhuan has become a real God King. Of course, this God King realm is not stable or solid. God, King, Emperor, Technique, another imperial technique. No, no, it's absolutely impossible. I must be dazzled. How could the Purple Forest Holy Land teach you the imperial art? Xuanhuan then raised her jade hand and waved it gently. In an instant, the other three disciples turned into dust. After doing all this, the spiritual power in Xuanhuan's body was instantly drained, and her realm returned to its original appearance. At this moment, Xuanhuan and Xiangda both looked pale and extremely weak. It was estimated that even a dog could kill them both. After all, the price to pay for using imperial magic was very high. Then, the two of them took out countless pills and stuffed them into their mouths, and their pale faces gradually turned rosy. No, we are still too reluctant to use it now. Xuanhuan said tremblingly. Yes, but if you can put it to use, it will live up to the young master's expectations. I have decided that after this competition, I must clear that secret realm. Xiangdabi said firmly. Me too. At this moment, in the outside world, the entire square was silent and fell into deathly silence. Only the sound of extremely rapid breathing could be heard. Everyone had an extremely horrified look on their face, as if they had seen the most terrifying thing. Even Ling Jun, Xiao Huo and others were like this, their faces were full of disbelief, especially Yao Yu, whose small mouth was open, and her face was filled with doubts as if to say, "Who am I, where am I, what am I going to do?" After a long time, some people finally came to their senses, their eyes trembling, and they said hesitantly, "I shouldn't have seen it wrong, that's the imperial art." Yes, wrong, the imperial art, 2 sets of the imperial art, 2 sets of the imperial art. Finally accepting this fact, everyone immediately burst into a tsunami-like voice, making the entire square tremble. I'm crazy, 2 Saint Kings actually mastered an imperial art. I'm going to die. Woo woo woo, the imperial art, I want it too. Damn, is Zilan Holy Land crazy? This is the imperial art, and they just gave it away. Where did they get these 2 imperial arts? Yes, I remember that Emperor Zilan and another fallen emperor didn't have these 2 imperial arts. What the hell is this? Once the imperial art comes out, even Emperor Shishan will be helpless. Cheating, they cheating. Then, countless people sighed and wailed everywhere, lamenting that all this was too unfair. Wow, Yan'er, Emperor, art, what's going on? After Yao Yu reacted, she immediately hugged Nalan Yan and asked excitedly. Hearing this, Ling Jun and Jian Feng also turned their heads to look at Nalan Yan, eager to know all these secrets. In fact, not only Xiangda and Xuanhuan, Lanlan also has an imperial technique. Nalan Yan said slowly. What the hell? 3 imperial techniques. Yan'er, you didn't dig up the graves of several great emperors? Yao Yu asked blankly. Are you stupid? Do I have that ability? Nalan Yan gave Yao Yu a hard slap on the head. Woo woo, if you don't have it, then you don't have it. Why are you hitting me? Yao Yu covered her head and said with a wronged look. Forget it, it doesn't matter if I tell you. I was planning to take you to see the young master after the competition. Just as Nalan Yan was about to say it, a voice full of endless anger suddenly sounded. Nalan Yan, what do you mean by the Purple Forest Holy Land? Start, Invincible, met the Empress's apprentice. Author, Ben Pao de la Chang. Chapter 310. Everyone also looked in the direction of the voice and found that the person who spoke was Xiao Huo. At this moment, Xiao Huo's expression was ferocious and terrifying, and the anger in his eyes shot straight to the sky, as if he was choosing people to devour. After hearing this, Nalan Yan also slowly raised her head to look at Xiao Huo, and said with a sneer. What's the meaning? What do you mean? Are you asking for help now? When Xiao Huo heard this, he immediately roared and said. Your disciple actually dares to kill our disciple. Hearing these words, Nalan Yan rolled her eyes and looked at Xiao Huo as if she were an idiot. You are such a double-standard person, you are such a double-standard dog. When your disciples robbed our disciples before, why didn't you say anything? Why can't you plunder? It's within the rules. So, their skills are inferior to others and they didn't use the teleportation talisman immediately. What does this have to do with us? Please think before you speak next time. It's true that ugliness has its shortcomings, and a toad wants to ride a swan. After Nalan Yan finished speaking, countless people began to criticize Xiao Huo. Yeah, it's really disgusting. Is the heavenly fire holy land worthy of being called the five holy lands? That's right, that's right. What a double standard. Are they allowed to plunder, but not allowed to be killed in return? If you ask me, I will disqualify them immediately. Xiao Huo's face became colder and colder as he listened to the sounds around him, but then, a trace of greed flashed in his eyes. No matter what, you killed 6 of our disciples. So, what do you want? Nalanyan said with a smile. Haha, it's very simple. If you hand over those 2 imperial arts, the murder of our disciple can be forgotten. Xiao Huo said slowly. When everyone heard these words, they were even more stunned. They had never seen such shamelessness before. Xiao Huo, you are so shameless. This is your purpose. Yao Yu was so angry that she cursed angrily. Xiao Huo, you make us feel sick. You are not worthy of being a quasi-emperor. Ling Jun also had an ugly look on his face. And Xiao Huo seemed to have lost his temper and didn't care at all about the other people's curses. 6 of our disciples died, so it's too much to exchange for 2 imperial arts. After hearing this, Nalanyan couldn't help but smile and said. Xiao Huo, if you want imperial skills, just say it directly, why bother beating around the bush? What's more, you have to live to take it. Stop talking nonsense, Nalan Yan, if you don't teach these 2 imperial arts today. Yeah, you're threatening me, I'm so scared. Nalanyan said, pretending to be scared. Get out of here, go up there, don't disturb my beautiful mood. You, okay, Nalanyan, don't regret it? Xiao Huo said extremely viciously. Xiao Huo, if you are like this, don't blame me, Suotian Holy Land, for expelling you today. Ling Jun couldn't bear Xiao Huo's face and said gloomily. Nalan Yan, Purple Forest Holy Land, you wait. Then, Xiao Huo ordered the other saints in his heart. Kill Nalan Yan's disciple for this holy master. Yes, Holy Lord. At this moment, in the small world, Yang Fan seemed to have turned into a walking zombie. Both Ruhua and Xianda had imperial skills. As their senior sister, how could Kanglan not have the same? And Kanglan didn't want to waste time with them, he was just about to take action. The next moment, 7 figures appeared directly behind Yang Fan. They were the Holy Sun and the Holy Son of the Heavenly Fire Holy Land. Yang Fan, are you okay? The leading man looked at Yang Fan and asked slowly, "This man is the most powerful holy son of the Skyfire Holy Land, Lu He. His strength has reached the peak of the Holy Lord. He is only one step away from being able to break through to the half-step God King like Emperor Shishan." "Lu Shenzi, I'm fine. What happened? Why did the Holy Lord ask us to come here immediately?" Lu He asked with a frown, and then looked at Kanglan and the others. The three Saint Kings were just three ants. Do they need to kill them? "Lu Shenzi, it's like this." Later, Yang Fan told the story. After hearing Yang Fan's words, the saints and saints of the heavenly fire holy land immediately widened their eyes. "You mean, the three of them possess imperial arts?" "Yes, Shenzi Lu, kill them quickly. If you use the teleportation talisman to escape, you will be dead," Yang Fan said hurriedly. Hearing these words, the expressions of Kanglan and the other three people also darkened. Xuanhuan had already used the imperial technique once and could no longer use it again today. And Kanglan didn't have any confidence. After all, his Daofixian technique was only an auxiliary imperial technique and had no lethality on its own. What's more, among these 7 people, apart from Yang Fan, there were 3 saints and 1 Lu He, the pinnacle saint. If fighting alone, Kanglan might not be afraid of anyone. "Don't worry, they can't escape." Immediately, Lu He waved his hand, and instantly Kanglan and others felt as if they had been cut off from some kind of connection. "Xiong is as big as a flower, hurry up and crush the teleportation talisman." "Yes, senior sister." After saying that, the 3 of them took out the teleportation talisman and crushed it in an instant. However, it seemed that the teleportation talisman had lost its effect and had no effect. "What's going on? The teleportation talisman is useless." Xiongda frowned and said, "Don't waste your efforts. I have cut off your connection with this small world. The teleportation talisman is no longer useful." Lu He said lightly, "Kill them and seize the imperial art." "Yes, Holy Son." After Lu He finished speaking, Yang Fan and others immediately swarmed forward. The temptation of the imperial technique was too great for them to resist. "Accept the challenge." "Yes, senior sister." Immediately, Ruhua and Dakshan displayed their physiques again, but this time their auras were much weaker than before. "You dare to bully our purple forest holy land, you are very courageous." "Damn, what a bunch of bastards." The next moment, behind Kanglan and the others, Xin Chen and others slowly appeared. "Fan Xin Chen, how did you find this place?" Lu He said with a frown. "You don't think you're the only one who has a sound transmission stone? We have been waiting for you for a long time." Fan Xin Chen stood in front of Kanglan and the others and said slowly, "Humph, Fan Xin Chen." Before Lu He could finish speaking, Fan Xin Chen said, "Stop talking nonsense and take your life. The holy body of stars, the great desolate star has fallen." Fan Xin Chen directly activated his own star body. In an instant, this small world seemed to be changed directly, and the endless galaxy replaced the original sky. An extremely huge meteorite rushed towards Liu He with extremely terrifying destructive power. Chaos Divine Eyes. Light of Chaos. When Lu He saw this, he didn't waste any time. He directly activated his eyes and performed the pupil technique. After a moment, chaos seemed to be rolling in his eyes, and his own aura became extremely strange, like a malfunction in the chaotic era. In the endless galaxy, the boundless chaotic dust began to gradually eat away at Fan Xingchen's endless galaxy. This is the Chaos Eye technique, one of the top 10 eye techniques. There is no ranking among the top 10 eye techniques. Each one has unpredictable power. However, the double eye invincibility is so deeply rooted in the hearts of the people that it is known as the #1 pupil technique in all the worlds.